All right, good afternoon. My name is Brian Stockton. I'm the Director of Economic and Downtown Development for the City of Woodstock. We'd like to welcome you to our first ever webinar here hosted by In Woodstock as part of Georgia Cities Week. The Georgia Municipal Association Georgia Cities Week takes place from April 24th through the 30th and showcases and celebrates cities and the services that they provide. Cities are generally rated higher by the public than any other level of government, and yet many residents are unaware of how city and services impact their lives. This year's theme is Connecting for Success. So what you're going to learn about in the webinar today is learning from lenders and realtors about how to become a homeowner, and city code officials and program managers about responsibilities of home ownerships. We hope you gain a valuable information on services the city provides and hear a special message from Woodstock Mayor Michael Caldwell, who I'm about to introduce. Mayor Michael Caldwell is a successful entrepreneur, business owner, a former four-term member of the Georgia House of Representatives, and the 31st mayor of the city of Woodstock. He is raising his family in downtown Woodstock. He has built his business in downtown Woodstock, and he is committed to making Woodstock the best city in America to live, work, and play. Michael owns Black Airplane, a full-stack digital project agency in downtown Woodstock. The award-winning company employs more than 25 Georgians full-time and serves some of the largest companies in the world. As a proven technology leader in Georgia, Governor Brian Kemp appointed Michael to serve on the board of directors of the Georgia Technology Authority. In 2012, Michael was elected the youngest state legislature in the United States and retired after serving Woodstock for 8 years in Georgia's House of Representatives. He championed ethics reform, term limits, and economic freedom across Georgia. Michael grew up in Woodstock, graduated from Cherokee County Public Schools, earned his BBA in finance from Kennesaw State University, go Owls, in less than 3 years. Michael and his wife, Katie, have 3 children, Oliver, Elizabeth, and Charlotte, and they are members of Sojourn Woodstock. I know this topic is near and dear to the mayor's heart, so I'd like to turn this over to Mayor Michael Caldwell.
Brian, thank you, sir. Thank you, guys. Thank you to all the panelists who are here today, and thank you for everybody logging in. If you've never heard your own bio read while you have to stare at a camera, that never gets normal. So thank you guys for sitting through that too. I just want to say thank you for everybody taking the time today. I think Brian nailed it. This is near and dear to my heart. I think it should be near and dear to all of our hearts. And so I asked for a few minutes just to sort of introduce the importance of this. Homeownership sets this country apart. We have a defined middle class in America, and that is largely a result, and it sets us apart and makes us different than almost every other developed nation in the world. It sets us apart because for 3.5 generations of American public policy at every level, we have prioritized the idea of home ownership for the average American. And now we find ourselves in a position where you have a generation of millennials who are objectively making more money than their parents did at this stage in their career, and they are objectively poorer than their parents were at this stage in their career. And as much as their parents would love them to believe it's because their millennial children aren't good savers, I hate to spoil it for their parents, but they were bad savers too. It's sort of the tact of being a human being. Study after study shows we show more empathy to strangers than we do our future selves. The way we plan for the future and the way we build generational wealth for ourselves and for the future is through buying assets like a home. And so it's a priority for me and a priority for this city to ensure that we're building a city of homeowners, not just because it builds a culture of people who care about the long-term health of the city, but because if we want a financially stable city for the long term, we're going to build financially stable people here for the long term, and home ownership is the way we do that. And so I'm a homeowner here in downtown Woodstock. I know we've got a lot of them here on the call today. And this home was not my first home, but when I bought my first home, I had all kinds of questions about what that process looked like. I'll tell you, I've owned a home for a whole long time now, and I'm 100% confident I'm going to learn things today about how I've been doing it wrong. So I'm grateful for everybody taking time to try to not just become homeowners, but become responsible homeowners who do this well and ensure that we're building the long-term financial health here. And so I get the opportunity to introduce Nereida here, and I want to make sure I do it correctly for you, Nereida. So I'm going to introduce Nereida Claudio. She is a member of the In Woodstock Board of Directors. And thank you for that, Nereida. That's awesome. And for those of you who are on the webinar, I hope that you are either members in Woodstock or after this webinar realize how important it is that you become one. She is also a loan officer with the U.S. Mortgage Corporation. She heads the in-season group, best known for the Scarecrow invasion in downtown Woodstock. So for all of us who've enjoyed that, we owe Nereida a big debt of gratitude. And she's going to be sharing with us today about Fannie Mae's Home Ready program. So hi, Nereida, welcome to the program, and I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Mayor Caldwell, and thank you for that nice introduction. It's always a pleasure to hear from other Woodstock residents and obviously from our local mayor. So thank you for that. Apologize that I don't have my picture on camera, but I do have some slides that I'm going to share. So if you would bear with me, I am going to talk about the Home Ready program and what that program is specifically. So bear with me. You guys should share my screen here in just a minute. But I'll talk about the Home Ready program and how that helps first-time home buyers. The Home Ready program is a loan that is financed directly through the government. It's financed directly through Federal National Mortgage Association, which is through Fannie Mae. Freddie Mac has a similar program with different guidelines. But just in general terms, this is a conventional loan product that reduces down payment requirements for first-time home buyers and mortgage insurance requirements. And when I say first-time home buyer, this program also applies to folks that have not bought a home in the last 3 years. So it doesn't mean it's for your very first purchase. There means that if there's a time frame within 3 years that you haven't owned a home, you still qualify for this program. And one of the benefits is that, we'll talk about some of the benefits of the program, but, we have FHA loan programs, right? It's usually known as a first-time home buyer program, but with this Home Ready program, it usually helps credit-worthy folks. So it does require generally a credit score of 660 and above, whereas FHA loans typically allow you to purchase with 580 and above. So that's a difference. So definitely credit-worthy, but low to moderate income first-time home buyers, certainly people that qualify for a home but may not have the resources for a larger down payment. This program is a conventional loan product that has a minimum down payment of 3%. So lower than an FHA program. And if y'all didn't know, your mortgage lender does have, they assist you with looking for interest rates with different banks, but they also assist you if you have a conventional loan with looking for lower mortgage insurance. So your loan officer searches for interest rates. And if you have a conventional loan, much like this program, you can shop around for different costs of mortgage insurances. So just one of the benefits with the Home Ready program. The cool thing about Home Ready is it does put you through a 4-hour education class, which is all online, that teaches folks different things about the different programs available. I'll talk about that on the next screen. Another cool thing with Home Ready is that parents and family members that are not living in the home co-sign or assist with gift funds, right? So if you have a college graduate that you're looking to help get into a home, I've seen a lot of parents actually co-sign or provide gift funds, and this program allows them to do that. And then there's median income limits. This income limits I'll talk about. There is a conventional loan program for folks that make above 80% of the income limits for the area that people are looking to purchase in. I'm going to show you what that is for Cherokee County on our next screen so that we can talk about it. But first, I wanted to talk about what's covered in that course. Right. Some of the things that are covered in that course are steps to prepare for that closing process. So what should you expect during the process? What should you expect from me as a lender? What you should expect from your realtor? I know Joe's going to talk about that during the process. They're going to provide tips and to budget and how to manage debt. How much should you be saving for home repairs now that you've purchased a home? They talk about real life examples on that. They also how to get a good mortgage interest rate, teach you to shop around with your mortgage lenders and why that makes a difference sometimes, okay? Strategies to make the most of a home inspection and understanding the appraisal. Remember that there's two things that homeowners go through. You go through an inspection, which is kind of, at the beginning of a loan purchase, just to understand what repairs that house may need as you go forward. And then the appraisal tells you what that home is worth, but educates homeowners on what to expect during both of those processes. Also lets them know how much the house they can afford and gives them calculators and things that homeowners, y'all can do for your own good, just so you know how much you can afford. A lot of people ask me, Nereida, what's the max I can afford? And some people are really uncomfortable going with the max, but teaches them how to stay within their budget. And then understanding the loan estimate. right? Understanding that loan estimate has all the details of the transaction, and your loan officer usually goes over that with you, so that you understand what are closing costs, what are prepaids, what your down payment, and what is the money that you're bringing to the table. I provided the URL if you were interested in looking at that education. It does have $75, which is a cost to go through that training. Usually your loan officers have a different link where you don't have to pay that $75 once you're under contract. But you can take a look. It's a really, really neat program and worth the while for first-time home buyers. On the next screen, I promised this. I told you that the home buyer program usually is for folks specifically that do not have an income that exceeds $68,560, right? That's the 80%, the home ready income limit. Now, does that mean that a first-time home buyer, a combined income, if you earn more than this income, do you still qualify for a 3% down conventional loan? And the answer is yes. You still go through a traditional conventional loan program, but if you earn above this, unfortunately, you might have a little bit higher MI, mortgage insurance, which is kind of interesting. But yes, the Home Ready program is specifically for first-time home buyers. Buyers that qualify for that Home Ready program not have an income exceed this level right here. Okay. On the next screen, I'll talk about different mortgage loans. I'm not going to go in a lot of detail, but obviously residential home loans that your loan officer can help you with, home financing, refinancing. There's first-time home buyer programs, which I just talked about. FHA loans, which I talked about briefly, traditional conventional loans, veteran loans, USDA loans, which are interesting, no down payment on those either. Reverse mortgages, jumbo loans, which exceed a certain loan level, second investment homes, and 203K loans. We expect to see a lot of 203K loans as we go into this year. 203K loans allow folks to escrow money for repairs into a home. But interesting products, those are all products that your local lender can help you with. And then I apologize, let me get you back to the final screen. You know, a lot of people confuse loan types with rate types. Each loan has a different rate or can have a variety of these rates, but traditionally, first-time home buyer loans are fixed rate loans. I mean, you can get fixed rate loans with both FHA and conventional loans. Adjustable loans are ARM loans, where the rate stays fixed for a few years and then adjusts to market rate. And then there's variable rate loans, which are HELOCs or home equity lines of credit that have variable rates or reverse mortgages that are tied to a component in the market, such as S&P 500. But surely understand that each product has different options with it. Okay. And then finally, if you needed any more information on me, here's the website with US Mortgage, my LinkedIn profile, Zillow reviews, and then Google reviews. You should always take a look at whatever lender you choose to work with, or talk to your local real estate agent. Usually they have good connections with their local lenders in the area. And with that said, I wanted to introduce you to Joe Hammonds-Swain. Joe is a local realtor with One Look Real Estate here, and he's going to continue the conversation regarding homes and how to obtain one here in Cherokee County. Hey, Joe.
Good morning, Nereida. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm so thankful to be on this presentation. I want to take a minute here and I'm going to share my screen. We're going to talk about a few things here. One of the big questions we have is, you know, the market itself here in Woodstock. Also want to talk a little bit about averages, home values, get an idea for, you know, if we're in a bubble, okay, and I'm using that term loosely. So I want to kind of cover some of those topics here today. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I am a local real estate agent here in my 5th year in downtown Woodstock. I'm a 20-year resident here in Woodstock. I work with a company called One Look Real Estate, which is the corner of Mill Street and Town Lake Parkway. Hold on, here we go. So one of the big questions I get from a lot of clients is, what is the housing purchase process? How does that work if I'm a buyer trying to procure a property that I want to move into? So the first thing I can tell you is to work with an expert. Call a realtor that you know, you like, and you trust, and spend some time understanding how they operate. It's a chance for you to interview them as well as them interview you on what your specific needs are. Next step of that process is, of course, to get with somebody such as like Nereida and talk about your financial picture. What does that picture mean for purchasing a property and what are your limits, I guess you might say, which product works best. And so those two conversations are paramount into setting up a process here where you have successful way to procure a home. So after that happens, then of course the realtor and the lender will get together, talk about the position here, what properties make the most sense for the client, and then we define what is that criteria with the person. Do you need a house with a basement, for instance? Do you need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with a fenced-in backyard? And just we go through those criteria, outline that, and create a search where we can send you the best and most accurate homes to you via the MLS. Okay. The next step is now we get excited. Now we know that we're looking at homes. Now we know we can buy a home. So let's go out that door and start opening those doors and take a look at the different homes as you know, in the area, and spend time understanding what you do like, what you don't like, such as maybe you don't like granite countertop. Maybe you realize that you really want a townhome versus a condominium. So going through those different aspects will help us better narrow down what makes the most sense for the client. Then of course, there's the offer. We have to place the offer on the property. We have to compile an offer based on market trends so that you have the best success possible. And it takes a team of people to make that happen. And so understanding how the offer process works, I can't really get into detail about that today, but it is something you want to work closely with your realtor on. The next step is once you do get the offer accepted, now we have a whole period of process, which is the post-acceptance process, where the offer has been accepted that we can define. But then at the very end, you get to close on your new home. And now we can celebrate. So it is a great time for a lot of people. There are ups and downs, but as long as you're prepared for knowing what the market has for you, it'll be a very successful time frame with the right person in your corner. Okay. Next one here. Let's talk about the types of properties here in Woodstock. So Woodstock, we have single-family homes, which are considered single-family residence, which are detached homes, homes that stand alone. That's what the word detached there in real estate would mean. Then, of course, we have single-family attached homes that have a townhome, condominium. You may have seen them in certain developments, and certainly there are a lot of new construction here in downtown Woodstock that does fit the single-family attached model. And certainly we do have some multifamily residences throughout that you could tap into as well. But these are just some examples of these, and each of these have their own type of criteria, own type of HOA structures or POA structures or homeowners associations or property owners associations, for clarity on those two terms. So let's talk a bit about Woodstock as a whole. I mean, Woodstock was rated #3 place to move in Homes.com article listed here in this screen in 2021. So it is a very desirable area. A lot of people do ask questions about what homes are available, what kind of square footage can I get? And here we are, median square foot is about a 2,128 square foot property in the area. A lot of people do want to be able to spread out a little bit. So the average yard size based on this article is from 0.238 acres, which means you do have a little bit of a land to be able to, you know, have flowers, let your pets out, et cetera, like that. So again, with the fact that we are the #3 place to move to based on homes.com, we're seeing a lot of traction here recently. So let's talk about stats. Stats I like to compare. I'm a data person. I spent over 20 years in sales and selling technology. So I like to look at data. So one of the things that I like to do is look at the stats from last year to this year. And one of the things that we could talk about is what was the average sales price versus last year versus this year? And the property values have gone up. I mean, that's just across the board. So we're seeing the average sales price of a home of all types of properties, condominiums, townhomes, single-family homes at $447,000 roughly for a home. That it breaks down to about $208 per square foot. And because of the demand, a lot of homes are selling for over list price. So we're seeing homes selling at 102.6% of list price. Also, the demand that we see is we're seeing a number of showings. And what I mean, average showings to pending, that means that door has been opened a number of times. And that means that there's been 33 showings on any given property on average across all types of properties. And again, all of this comes straight from the MLS system that I use pretty regularly. So let's also talk about the average days on market that we see with properties. Single family detached homes are typically on the market for 17 days or less. Okay, that's really aggressive. That means it is a seller's market right now. Another one is here is the residential attached homes are spending about 31 days on market. That is still very much a seller's market. So when you combine both of those together, we get a statistic called the month's supply of inventory. And this kind of dictates whether or not we're in a stable market, in a seller's market, or in a buyer's market. And when you have an inventory of a half a month of properties up to 0.6 months of properties, that means we are in a seller's market. So you need to be prepared to partner with the right expert here to help you navigate those waters to land that home. Okay? So this is the question that I'm continually asked. Are we in a housing bubble? Is it going to pop? Are we going to see values drop like they did in 2008? Well, this article I've linked here is a Fortune article that came out on the 14th of April by a person by the name of Sean Tully. Sean Tully has predicted the 2008 crash. He's predicted a number of other things and has been successful with that. So I lean on his expertise a little bit. And what he's saying is it may look a lot like 2007, but don't be fooled. Okay, that's a very key thing to think about. Now, there's other factors outside of us internationally that may affect that. But right now, what we're seeing from the trends that it is not a bust or a bubble. So let's talk about home prices making sense. I mean, they tend to make sense if they reflect the future trends in rent. So when rent rises fast, when there is not enough new construction to meet the demand. So what we're seeing is that rent prices are rising and home values are rising. They're rising in parallel. And when they do, that means it's simply one reason: supply and demand. So what we're seeing is that we simply don't have enough homes for the number of people that want to buy a home. So if people are saying that it's a short inventory, the key is that we are selling lots of homes. And a National Association of Realtors said in 2019, we sold about 6 million homes nationwide. In 2020, we sold about 6.5 million homes nationwide. And in 2021, we sold 7 million homes nationwide. So properties are moving. They're moving quickly because there is a tremendous amount of demand. So if I can express anything to you today, is that right now I don't see a bubble, but what I do see is that there are a lot of factors that could change that at any given time. So this is my name. I'm Joe Hammonds-Swain, Woodstock Real Estate, and I have the honor to be able to introduce Mr. Officer Townsend here with the City of Woodstock Code of Enforcement. Officer Townsend, please tell us how you and other cities here protect with health and safety and the welfare of Woodstock. Officer Townsend.
Yes, good afternoon. We protect the health and safety of the citizens of Woodstock by tactically enforcing city ordinances that were adopted by the mayor and council to enhance the lives of the citizens of Woodstock. Also, some of the responsibilities of home ownership within the city limits of Woodstock, we try to go out and educate the community about local ordinances in order to gain voluntary compliance for the greater good of the community. So when we go out and meet a homeowner, the first thing we like to do is educate them, because a lot of homeowners are unaware of what ordinances and codes and stuff that go on within the city limits of Woodstock. So we like to go out and just introduce ourselves and educate the homeowners of what we do. And some of the things that we enforce when we're out here and we're driving through the neighborhoods and in downtown areas, what we look for is like grass and or weeds in excess of 10 inches or more throughout the entire property. Trash and accumulation of solid waste outside your trash cans, if they're sitting on the ground or whatever. We try to educate the homeowners on how to properly store that until trash day. We also enforce vehicles that are missing license plates, they're inoperable, or they're out into a state of disrepair or dismantle. Also, fowl or livestock is not allowed within the city limits of Woodstock unless you have 6 acres or more. So we enforce that as well. And it's always a good, we try to educate them, like I said, the public on our city ordinance to prevent potential violations on their property. And also, if there is a concern that some of the homeowners may have, they can submit a CRA complaint via the city website. And once you do that, it comes to us and we can go out and investigate what the complaint is. And if there is like I said, there's a link on the main page of Woodstock GA .com for a citizen action request. And there you can find a drop-down list of various scenarios. Complete that form and your request will be routed to the correct city department. So we like to be out, be involved within the public and just get to know people. And like I said earlier, just educate some of the things that we do. So I guess that being said, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Jamey Snyder. He's he works for Parks and Recreations, and he's going to tell you about opportunities to learn about creating an attractive yard. Thank you again for having us on here, and we look forward to seeing you around.
Well, thank you, Officer Townsend. I get to talk about fun stuff for homeownership and the folks of Woodstock. I really appreciate it. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about what's available in Woodstock in terms of the amenities that you get when you buy a home here. You get the parks, you get recreation, you get to mountain bike, you can fish, you can hike trails, play baseball, pickleball, tennis, disc golf. You can pan for gold. You can join the Woodstock Community Garden, or you can take gardening classes, which is kind of what I'm going to speak about a little bit today. Creating a beautiful yard is intimidating. It's not easy for some folks. Heck, it's not easy for a lot of folks. So we offer a couple of classes that you can take throughout the year that can help kind of point you in the right direction. You know, you can look on YouTube, you can look on the internet, you can do all sorts of things that can aid in creating, you know, a lovely front yard or backyard. But we provide some of these classes to help you along. They're called Essential Gardening. And Essential Gardening is a program that's a partnership with Cherokee County UGA Extension and the Cherokee Master Gardeners. So we're really proud to be able to work with three different groups to move this program forward. Some of the classes that you can take, we've gone through some already. We offer them in the spring and in the fall. The summer is just plain too hot to do anything in this state. So we skip the gardening in the summer. We just let the flowers and the vegetables grow. We don't do much with them other than give them water. But your essential gardening classes can kind of take you through everything you need to know, from planting vegetables in a garden, planting flowers, shrubs, trees, dealing with certain things in the yard, whether it's pests or the like. The classes in the spring that we've already had that we will repeat in the following year are planning a garden. Obviously, that class teaches you how to plan a garden, whether it be vegetables, whether it be flowers. We do a seed starting class. So that class enables you to learn the ins and outs of planting from a seed rather than going to your local nursery and picking up plants that are already established. You know, for some people, it's an economical way to get a beautiful yard. We do a kitchen garden, which is herb gardening, and another fun way to go ahead and help yourself out, help out your yard, and be economically savvy is to throw in an herb garden. Secret, the other side too, is herbs keep down mosquitoes. So anything that smells in your yard is going to help keep down mosquitoes naturally. We do edible landscaping. It's one of the things that can help, you know, really create a beautiful yard. Planting vegetables, fruit-bearing trees and shrubs, things of that nature in your yard that you can use on your kitchen table. It's a great way to multitask your yard. We have a class coming up in a week. It's called Tackling Garden Pests. It was actually a requested class. So we're going to figure out how to get rid of moles, how to get rid of different bugs. Love to say we're going to try to figure out how to keep deer out of your yard, but we're not going to figure that out because it's nearly impossible, other than a huge fence. We have a composting class coming up, and we have a daylilies basics class. Very popular daylilies in our area. In June, you can propagate them. It's great. Like I said, we skip most of July, most of June, and then we head into August, and we do several different topics that'll be coming up: canning, preserving, fermenting. Then we get into fall gardening, because in our area you can garden and work in your yard all year long. You can have production out of your garden all year long. You can have flowers and evergreen plantings all year long. So it's a great class. We're also going to be doing planting shrubs and trees with Josh Footer from the UGA Extension. That is his passion, is putting in trees in our area. So great classes coming up in the fall. In addition, we offer at Woodstock Parks and Rec a beehive maintenance class. It's an all year long class if you want to raise bees. Bees help with pollination. They keep all the fruits and vegetables, coming forth. We have a group of volunteers. It's a board that's made up. It's called Woodstock Parks for Pollinators, where we go out and we establish different little mini parks within our parks for pollinators. And the result of one of that is our butterfly gardening program, which is a group of volunteers that goes into the parks and have established different butterfly gardens for a variety of butterflies: eastern swallowtail, monarch, which the Girl Scout troop put in last year, and the Gulf fritillary butterfly, great. And we also have a pollinator garden certification program that we're launching, where a homeowner can have their pollinator garden certified. You go on our website, you'll be listed, you'll get a sign and a certificate saying that you've been recognized. It's a great program. It helps create a great backyard, and gives you a little bit of a high five from us. All of that pollinator talk kind of has led me into turning this over to Julie Esterline. She's from In Season. It's a group of volunteers that install the seasonal plantings in downtown Woodstock. She's going to share a little bit more about pollinators. Julie, I know a lot of the plants that In Season installs in the beds and the planters downtown are specifically chosen to benefit pollinators. Why is that so important?
Hey, Jamie, thank you so much. Well, the pollinator is very important because 30% of our food grown is pollinated by bees. And I'd like to share some slides right now with some of the flowers that we have found that we can plant with success, because urban friendly pollinator plants are very different from other types of pollinating plants. We live in an urban environment, and so we have some challenges with some of the plants that we can use with success in our plants, in our planters, in our in-ground beds, and in our hanging baskets. So one of the first plants we have are zinnias, and zinnias are available in a variety of colors. They resemble marigolds. We featured zinnias in planting beds along Chambers Street. They attract butterflies and bees. A great plant, not really known as a really heavy pollinator, but portulaca. Portulaca is a hardy, drought-tolerant succulent plant that will survive into the first frost. As I said, technically not a great pollinator, but it attracts bees. And we feature the portulaca in the planters along Main Street. Next group are pansies. Many people don't realize that pansies are a very good pollinator. In fact, I didn't realize that until I was doing my research for this presentation. Although pansies are technically a fall and winter plant, they are one of the only winter hardy plants available to Southern gardeners that will survive a frost. They're available in a variety of colors, and we favor to feature these pansies along Main Street in our planters and in planting beds along Chambers Street. And pansies is that if left in place in early spring, which some are still out there along like the freight planting bed, they provide that early nectar for bees and other pollinators just now emerging from hibernation. Another great plant, and deer tolerant and rodent tolerant and will protect your veggies, as Jamie was speaking about, are marigolds. They come in the familiar colors of red, orange, and yellow. They attract bees and butterflies. We like to feature the marigolds in planting beds along Chambers Street. And maybe this year, maybe next year. I think last year we did marigolds, and we really did enjoy those colors. Another great pollinator is a dainty daisy-like flower, and it is called cosmos. And Cosmos is best used as a filler in baskets or planters due to their spreading growing habit. It's probably one of the most, when you think of pollinators, you think of like wildflowers. And this is probably the most wildflower look flower plant that we do use. We have success with them because they attract butterflies and bees, and it has a really great spreading growing habit, which just fills up baskets and spaces. Another great plant we love is called a Colabracoa, and it is a tiny little petunia plant. And we love Colabracoa because, first of all, they do not require deadheading as petunias do. They have a trailing growing habit, which is perfect as spillers in hanging baskets and in planters. This is one of the rare plants of what I've been going to be discussing today that attracts hummingbirds. And you will see the hummingbirds and their long beak inside those tiny little petunia-like blooms. And butterflies and bees enjoy the Colabracoa as well. Then we go on to the petunia, which is a very large looking Colabracoa. We love them for their color. We love them. They come in a variety of different patterns. Some are speckled, some have stripes on them, some come in multicolor blooms. They're perfect as spillers in our baskets and in our planters. So In Season likes to feature them along, particularly the hanging baskets that we see around Freight along Main Street. They also like butterflies and bees, or bees like them, rather. One of our final plants that we like, really actually love, is the lantana. Lantana is a great plant. Lantana will give any gardener, any home gardener, anywhere, an instant butterfly garden. Butterflies swarm to them, love them, bees love them. I've even seen hummingbirds try to get something from them. They're in bright yellow, they come in yellow and pink, and they come in purple. We feature them in as many plantings as possible, all over Woodstock. They're hardy into the first frost, they're rather drought tolerant, and they are deer resistant. They're perfect ground cover for many, many gardeners. You can just add a touch of color with anything that you have in your garden by simply adding a flat or a tray of lantanas to your gardens. Every pollinator loves the lantanas. And now I'm happy to introduce Rob Hogan. Rob is the Assistant City Manager of the City of Woodstock, and Rob will share with you and with us the services the city provides homeowners. Rob, you ready?
Yes, Julie, thank you very much for that introduction. And it's a pleasure to work with you on a regular basis and all of our partners around the city. I'm here to share some information about the infrastructure services that are provided by the city of Woodstock. There are many such services that either the city provides directly or facilitates through others. And therefore, it's really important for home buyers and homeowners, especially first-time home buyers, to understand the various jurisdictional lines. That's true for the city limits as a whole, but it's also true of the various utility providers in the area. And it can often be confusing, especially to first-time home buyers. So that's why we offer many of the details and maps on our website to help in these matters, and are always available to answer questions that anyone may have. But in general, the infrastructure services provided by the city starts with water sewer, and the city provides water sewer utilities directly to each residential address. We have 5 groundwater production facilities for drinking water, and that is combined with supplies from our neighboring water authorities to ensure a consistent source of water availability, as well as outstanding water quality. There are also utility providers for electricity, natural gas, telephone, cable, fiber type providers. And we have detail about those utility providers. And the city also has a citywide contract with one trash and recycle provider. So by maintaining an exclusive trash provider, this ensures that the receptacles and the trucks are disrupting any particular neighborhood on only one day per week per neighborhood. This allows for more attractive neighborhoods and maximizes the home values accordingly. Additionally, the city has a partnership with Gas South to offer low natural gas rates, as well as great service for natural gas. And it's not an exclusive utility, but they have a partnership with the city that provides additional services and additional rates for our citizens. And that's probably enough on the utilities. The city is actually providing substantial infrastructure services beyond just utilities. And that, of course, includes streets and sidewalks and crosswalks and stormwater curbs and drains, the physical infrastructure that most of us live with from day to day. Most importantly, we are constantly improving that infrastructure in ways that continues to enhance the walkability of this acclaimed live, work, play community of Woodstock. We have millions of dollars worth of infrastructure projects underway at this very moment. And it's not only the big road projects, we're constantly adding sidewalks, landscaping, and other amenities designed for pedestrians and to enhance the walkability of the community. It's a wonderful place to live and work. We continually strive to make it better. And we are never satisfied with making it the best it can possibly be. I know there may be some questions on this, and you've heard a lot of information from the various presenters, a lot of valuable information. Now it's time to turn it over to IN Woodstock's COO, Sylvia Breitbart, to see if there are any questions. Sylvia?
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for that introduction. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all of the panelists that have taken their time throughout the day to spend their lunch hour with us and give us this great information. I do right now during this program, I wanted to see if there's any questions that any of our participants might have at this time. And at this point, I'm not seeing any. So if you do have a question in the future, please send me an email at my city email address at sbreitbart@woodstockga.gov, or you can send it to hello@inwoodstock.org. And if I don't know the answer to the question, I will direct you to the right person to talk to you. But I do want to remind everybody that Georgia Cities Week goes on until April 30th. And people can learn more about the remaining events in the news section of woodstockga.gov. Again, that's woodstockga.gov. And one of the remaining events that happens this Friday, I want to go ahead and remind everybody, is our morning influence. And that is again this Friday from 8 to 9 at Woodstock Chambers City Center. And we are going to be talking with Community Development Deputy Director, that's the title, Katie O'Connor, and she's going to talk about Woodstock Sustainability Program. So we're very excited to go ahead and hear from her this Friday. Make sure that you RSVP at inwoodstock.org, check out our events, and we can get you breakfast on that day as well. So, but anyway, to learn more about other events of In Woodstock, please go to our website at inwoodstock.org. And again, look at the events and sign up and RSVP for them. So I want to again give you all a big thank you for spending your lunch hour with us, and a big thank you to all of the panelists for all the great information. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and say goodbye to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good one.
Take care.
Thank you.